Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Now that Deontay Wilder has been flattened by Zhilei Zhang, and that comes off the back of an absolutely appalling performance against Joseph Parker, a lot of people are saying that's the end of Deontay. And, you know, a lot of us got the feeling that he actually doesn't really want to fight anymore. He's just dipping his toes in the water as if to see what have I got left. He spoke about this before the Zhang fight. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's got a great deal left. But let's play a little game here. Let's say that even though he's pushing 39, let's say he wants to continue. Okay. Well, he's kind of finished at heavyweight, isn't he? But there is one option, and if I was the manager or trainer of any of the people who are in these rankings, I would be getting on the phone to Deontay Wilder and say, we'll give you a shot. And those rankings would be the Bridgerweight division. Because when you consider that Bridgerweight covers fighters from 200 pounds to 224 pounds, I don't agree with that, that sort of weight spread. I think it should be far less than 224, maybe 215, 212. But nevertheless, that's what it is. And Wilder against Zhang weighed in at 214 pounds. So let's say, for the sake of argument, just to play a little game, that Wilder decides, do you know what? I'm a Bridgerweight. Maybe I can win their title, their WBC title, or the WBA have gone into the Bridgerweight division as well. Whether they're going to call it Bridgerweight or Super Cruiserweight remains to be seen. But yeah, I can looking down the rankings at all the, should we say, lesser known fighters that are listed. He might think, do you know what? I fancy my chances. I reckon I can pick up that title. Okay, heavyweights doesn't look like they're just too big. I mean, 282 Zhang was, and Wilder's 214. I mean, that's essentially two weight divisions difference. Come on, I mean, it's. I know that they're both technically heavyweights, and a lot of people who could make Bridgerweight. Usyk's another one. I mean, he could make Bridgerweight, but what's he going to be there for? I know it's a second division title, but if you're old like me, or older, should we say, like me, you will remember the birth of both the super middleweight division and the cruiserweight division, and they gained momentum as the years ticked by. So you had some of those early cruiserweight champions like Marvin Camel and who was it? I mean, the guy who won it 4 times, Puerto Rican, whose name escapes me. You had fighters who were winning these belts. No one really took them seriously. But now we look back on the cruiserweight history and we say, okay, that was an inaugural champion. In other words, it added to their legacy. And Wilder has achieved a lot at heavyweight, considering his size. And when I say size, I don't mean his dimensions. I don't mean how tall he is. I mean how thin he is. This guy is a 215-pound fighter. I know against Fury, he was in the late 230s. And look what it did for him. He was knackered after 3 rounds. So he's always been fighting much, much bigger men. And if he was to drop down to cruiserweight, I mean, would you give him a chance of winning the belt? I mean, look, we know that. Let's go through some rankings. Let's mention some names, because we know that with regard to the WBC, the champion is Lawrence Okolie. He went over to Poland and busted up Lucas Rozansky inside a round, did a brilliant job. He's now the WBC Bridgerweight champion. By the way, just to go off at a little bit of a tangent here, Bridgerweight, the name does not come from the concept that this is a bridge to heavyweight, from cruiserweight to heavyweight. I've heard a lot of people say this. That's not the case. The name Bridgerweight comes from a 6-year-old American lad called Bridger Walker, who protected his younger sister, I think she's 3 or 4, from a stray dog that was attacked her. It was a wild dog. It was aggressive, tried to maul her. He got in the way, rescued his sister, but unfortunately he had an awful lot of stitches in his face. His face was half chewed off, but he saved his sister's life. Bridger Walker, very brave young little boy. Now, Jose Suleiman heard about this, met with Bridger Walker and his family, and took the name Bridger as the new weight division. Whether that was the right thing to do, whether honouring this little lad in a different way would be a better thing, because he's a brave little boy, obviously. You can argue that, but that's where the name comes from, rightly or wrongly. So let me just correct a few people on that, because I know some people think it is a bridge to heavyweight. Probably is, literally, but the name doesn't come from that. Okay, so if we go back to the WBC rankings, let's look down them and see if Wilder, who you'd pick Wilder to, even in this current depleted state, who would you pick to beat Wilder out of these people? So you've got a Coley. If I was Ben Shalom, part of a Coley's team, Sky, I would be on the phone to Wilder in a flash. I know he's got his mandatory coming up, was it Andrew Tabiti? I'm not sure. But I would be saying, we'll give you a shot at the Bridgerweight title. You can become a 2-weight world champ like I am. You never know. Wilder might say, yeah, put him on Sky. Another payday against a guy who, and I mean, Coley is not small. I mean, he was a very, very big cruiserweight. Now he's at Bridgerweight. He says, I'm going to go to heavyweight eventually, but I'm going to let my body settle in. It's a very sensible thing to do, actually. But would Wilder fight a Coley at Bridgerweight? Possibly. Then at number 2, second one down, is, like I mentioned, Andrew Tabiti of the US. Then you've got at 3, you've got Poland's Adam Balski. Alan Babic is at 4, and Babic is fighting Johnny Fisher. Riyad Mary of Belgium, who was recently fought and lost, he's ranked. He's at number 5. And then you go down further, and you've got names like Chris Tavieski of Australia. I don't know anything about him. You've got Zhaozin Zhang. I've probably mispronounced that name, but he's from China. Don't know anything about him. Carlos Welch of the US. And if you go down to number 10, you've got Tom Schwartz. Remember him? Who got flattened by Fury in a couple of rounds. So you've got these names who, in no shape or form, would ever make a splash at heavyweight. They're sort of cruisers who've moved up, basically. And they weren't particularly great cruiserweights. Would you pick any of them to beat Deontay Wilder even now? I don't know. There's a few people I don't know anything about. So, I mean, Bohdan Mironets of the Ukraine, for example, I think he's the guy. He's number 12 in the WBC Bridgerweight rankings. Now, he has victories over Nathan Gorman, a points victory, and he also beat, who else did he beat? He scored another upset. These two upsets were in Britain. That's what got him his ranking. I think he's a good fighter. He's from Ukraine, and I think he's a very decent guy who's too small for the heavies. So Bridgerweight would probably suit him. I think he could be a future Bridgerweight champion if he's managed right. Who was the other guy he beat? I can't remember. I know he beat Nathan Gorman. It might have been Cash Ali. I think it was Cash Ali, actually. Yeah, I pointed to him as well. So, decent enough fighter. But some of these guys, I've no idea who they are. So you never know. They might be quite good, some of them. I mean, Tommy Welch, who's the son of former British champ Welch. What's his name? I hate getting old. You forget these fucking names that you've known for decades. Scott Welch. Yeah, Tommy Welch. He's number 15. So these guys are sort of coming up. They're looking for shots. You throw Wilder into the mix, and don't forget Wilder was the WBC heavyweight champion for a long time. He had 10 defenses. I think it was 10 or 12, 10. I think. So he's got a good relationship with the WBC. If he says, I'd like to be ranked at Bridgerweight, they're going to stick him in near the top, if not at the top. And when Coley has had his mandatory, which he should win, I can't remember who the mandatory is against. I can't remember. I thought it was either Andrew Tabiti or Adam Balski, but I could be wrong. But you put Wilder into the mix, that's a pretty decent, that actually elevates the division. And also gives Wilder a chance to emphasize in historical terms the fact that he was a much, much smaller guy at heavyweight, 214, 218, 216. That's not big in this era. So if he drops down and picks up this WBC Bridgerweight belt, and then in future years the Bridgerweight title, like the cruiserweights, like the super middleweights, gains momentum and gains gravitas and status, then Wilder could turn around and say, or maybe the historians would turn around and say, you know what, Wilder did really well at heavyweight, considering he was really just a Bridgerweight. And of course, he drops down late. And look at him, nearly 40 years old, and he won the Bridgerweight title. It looks good. It builds on your resume. Now, of course, all of this is reliant on whether Wilder wants to carry on fighting. I should also point out that the WBA are introducing a Bridgerweight or Super Cruiserweight division, going up to 224 pounds again. And they've got people like Badu Jack in their rankings. They don't have a champion at the moment. They haven't had an inaugural champion. The inaugural champion for the WBC was, what's his name? He was, Dillian White fought him. It's going to come to me. I refuse to not get this name. It is Oscar Rivas. Okay. And that was in 2020. But the WBA have never had a Bridgerweight champion, but they do have the division. They are introducing that division, where there's a sanctioning fee, you're going to find a ruling body, aren't you? Come on, let's be honest. So again, could get involved, Wilder. But does he want to do it? I think it's an option for him. Again, like a lot of you, I'm not convinced he does want to fight on. He's made his millions. But if he did want to build on his legacy, I think that's a pretty decent way to go. And I think that if I was, one of these guys who's ranked, Okoly's the champ, at WBC champ, I would be on the phone to Wilder saying, I'll fight you. I'll give you a shot. Come down here. You already make the weight. It's not like you're going to be draining yourself. Come on down. And then Wilder can come in like almost half a stone more than he did against Zhang and still make the weight. I think that's an option. What do you think? I mean, bear in mind that I know that most of you will be saying, Bridgerweight, it's a load of crap, no one cares about it. But try to look at it long term over the next 30, 40 years, maybe the next 20 years. If you're a younger boxing fan, you're a lot younger than me, when you get to my age, Bridgerweight might be an established division. So is it an option for Wilder and maybe one or two other fighters to go down that path once they've exhausted their heavyweight options to go? I think if I was a fighter, I'd be looking to do that. Anyway, comments below. Thank you for your time as always. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the like button, that little like thing, because I count them apparently. And I'll read your comments and answer as many as I can. Thanks a lot then. Catch you later. Bye for now.